Hey, my name is Weber. I'm the founder and CEO of Flora. Before I tell you about Flora, I'll tell you a little bit about why we're doing this. Our goal is to build the world's most powerful creative tool. The reason why is because we were founded out of a grad program called NYU over in Brooklyn, where we use technology to make art. And while working on art projects with AI, we realized one core thing. Current AI tools are made by non-creatives for other non-creatives to feel creative. What creatives need is creative control to make great work. Tactile interfaces, more than just a prompt. A picture's worth a lot more than 1,000 words. A lot of focus on automating what has already been done, rather than creating the net new, as many folks today have talked about. That was the core mission that we started with, of enabling great creative work, and that's kind of the philosophy behind what we're building. So what is Flora? Flora is a generative workflow tool with every creative AI model across text, image, and video in one intuitive interface. It's reminiscent of Figma, but workflow-oriented. And we have every single model across just 3 blocks, text, image, and video, which you can connect together to concept very rapidly across brand identity exploration, product campaigns, marketing, as well as building scalable generative workflows to generate hundreds and thousands of assets once you know exactly what you want. Put simply, our mission statement is to make it possible to speak your idea into existence with a high degree of creative control. From the outset, we've really focused, given all the slop in the AI world, on working with the world's best creative teams. So the first team we iterated closely with was Pentagram, because they do a lot of bespoke, great work. And since we launched earlier this year, we've scaled very rapidly to work with many great creative teams. The likes of like RGA, Depth, Lionsgate, Complex, and a bunch of other folks as well, across many different disciplines. We try to deeply understand their creative process, help them build workflows around that, and take a lot of their feedback to build the best possible tool. So because we have every single model across text, image, and video across one place, you can really build workflows really bespoke to your creative process and many different use cases. So stuff like brand identity, product photography, logo and typeface explorations, even entire temp films. We work closely with our customers to help them get to success. So yeah, I'm gonna try to give a live demo with one hand on the mic. All right, can you guys see this? All right, so this is Flora's interface. I won't go too deeply into it given the time constraints, but we have every single model across text, image, and video in just 3 blocks. It's very Figma-like, so real-time multiplayer, shared projects, so you can share your creative process and workflows. You can do that from here. Here's a very quick example of how you can use Flora. So here's an example reference image that I want as the base and the structure of the general thing I want to make. Here's my specific product of sunglasses that I want on that person. Very simply, by connecting these 2 image blocks into another image block and kind of substituting it in with a prompt, you can really quickly get to a pretty accurate concept of what you're looking for. You'll notice here we have every single image model in each image block. That way you don't have to have a bunch of different subscriptions and a more intuitive UI as well. Here's another example here. Here, you're taking this specific product, but you want the structure and composition of this image. So I'm actually doing image to text and extracting the prompt, and then using the structure of this image and the product here to kind of come up with this shot, and then from there branch out into many different variations based on that initial thing. So it's really good for once you have an initial concept, exploring in many different variations. Here's a really short workflow, and I'm starting with pretty simple ones, and I'll go to more complex ones in a sec, of taking a very simple flat logo and turning it into a rotating 3D logo. And you can replace this with any logo and it'll do the same thing. Here, you're basically removing the background using our remove background tool. Image to image using GPT image. Nano Banana is also great for this, to make it a black backdrop. Here I'm tilting it 45 degrees, or tilting it slightly to the right. From there, I'm actually feeding it into a first frame, last frame video model. What that means is it takes 1 frame for the beginning, 1 frame for the end, and then interpolates in between. And here you see a variation of that. This is a couple variations. You can choose how many variations you want here, because AI is inherently random, and you want to get the right one before you move forward. From there, you can actually upscale this image or alter it. So we have a video upscaler here, which you can use to get to higher fidelity. So if you're working on stuff where you have to blow it up really large, like a billboard or things like that, that helps with that. Yeah, I think that's enough for the basic stuff. Let's get into something more complex. All right, so here's an example of going from a really abstract shape to a full ad for a product in the subway. So how do we do this? First, we take this abstract shape, we kind of make it a little bit 3D. We texture it green and make the background white. Then we pull this image from externally for something we might want to use for the screen of the product. Connect that in as well and just say, place a screen in there. From there, adding this kind of like speaker thing on the bottom right. Here's a nice little kind of light looking thing that we add to the top left here. And from there, we're compositing this into an example subway ad. So this is really good for testing kind of 360 marketing and trying it in different places, where you're basically replacing this middle part here with the product. From there, you're feeding it into a video model and saying having a train passing it by so you can see it in a real world setting. So it's really good for getting across concepts of different campaigns that you and the team are thinking about. Here's an example of taking many different pieces of clothing. I think this is one that we made for Levi's, where you have different models, different jeans, different hats. Compositing all these together, I won't go too deeply into the prompt for now, but compositing all these different things together, trying them in different poses, and then feeding into a video model so you can kind of get a quick moving mock. I'll kind of fly through these now, given I'm running out of time. Here's like a UI component redesign for AKQA, where you're taking all the references here, generating different versions of what a chair might look like. Once you settle on the one you want, really quickly branching off into many different components that you might need. And the way you do this is by just saying, make a bed in the same style. And there's also an image-to-image version of this, where you're taking the style of this and the structure of this, which I'm not sure what this is, but I really like it. Yeah. Here's like a really complex one, taking a bunch of reference image, existing kind of brand assets, and then quickly prototyping everything from product photography to these sorts of designs, even keychains and other things. So you can explore a really quick set of things very quickly. And this is one where you're starting from an asset of a Jeep Wrangler, and then really quickly concepting out the car in different settings, driving around, and then animating that into various videos of the car in many different directions. So it's very useful for quick concepting. So that's kind of like where Flora is today, and we're happy to work with you to build custom workflows. But we are only 30% done with the product. There's a lot still left to do to really deliver full creative control and make really great creative work. So what is next for us? If you think about the creative process as you have the idea or get the idea from the client, explore many different variations, decide on a concept direction, refine it, and then distribute it. Right now, AI is better at ideation and exploration, and that's what we've focused on so far, and that's what many teams are using us for. But we want creative control. So we want to build in a workflow-oriented image editor. What that means is if you generate thousands of assets and you want the logo there exactly where you want it, we need to add layers. So we want every block to have image editing capabilities like Photoshop. You can have the logo in one place, generate thousands of assets in the background, but everything is on brand. That's kind of the idea there, as well as a bunch of AI native features like auto layering, auto translation across regions, things like that a lot of customers are asking us for. And then video editing, right? What's the point of generating all these videos if you can't composite them together, right? And if you can really easily go from text, like a script, to a storyboard via image, and then generate a video, what if I want to change the idea for the first character and the description? Does that translate all the way through to the end video? It won't unless we build a video editor and you can have it all in one place, a generative system. And of course, 3D and audio, because even more control. Also things like generative apps where you can compress an entire workflow into beginning and end to make it easier for other folks to use. What we're trying to build ultimately is a truly intelligent creative tool that has the same context on what you're working on as you do. So you can upload your mood boards, briefs, so it will help guide your generations towards what you're looking for, as well as additional agentic features to build out workflows for you. So yeah, I think I'm out of time, but if you're interested in learning more, and I might regret offering this because there's a lot of folks here, if you, if you email me or scan the QR code to auto-draft an email to send to me, me and the team will build you 3 custom workflows bespoke to your creative process to show you kind of where it fits in and how to get up to speed with AI. We know that like AI is a big paradigm shift and it's very confusing giving all the different models. So we're here to help.